welcome everybody once again for the PCDC Managers League, as we're here for round 10 with Alain Prost in the lead, who's qualified 7/10 in front of the nearest car. But the question being, will he lead into turn 1? And we're green, and Prost seems to get a good launch off of the start, but Emerson Fittipaldi will get alongside into turn 1 here. Can Prost hold on? It does seem so as he edges ahead. But Fittipaldi isn't done. Fittipaldi's still fighting to take the lead here in the opening lap. And after turn 2 here, it will turn to the inside for Prost. But Fittipaldi's still pushing on. And now Gugelmin is trying to take a look. But Prost holds it around the outside into turn 4, and he will lead the Hungarian Grand Prix for now. And let's take a look a bit further back as we have John Nielsen getting off to a great start into P3. He's gotten past Maurizio Gugelmin. Then we have Ayrton Senna in the Apple car, very distinctive with rainbow colors. And then we have Ross Cheever also doing very well in the Minardi there. He has Jan Lammers chasing him. Then comes Al Unser Jr., who's just inside the points. Then Roberto Moreno in 9th, that second Lotus. Then comes Nelson Piquet, rounding out the top 10. And then we have Mika Hakkinen just outside the top 10 with teammate Patrese behind him. Then comes Dalmas, who seems to be, well, out of position compared to his teammate, that is for sure, as Prost still leads for now. Then we have Satoru Nakajima, and followed by JJ Leto, the rookie, who's actually gotten off to a good start because he started all the way down in the bottom at the back of the grid, but now he's made his way up into 15th, so good start from him. Then comes Michael Andretti. Then comes Bobby Rahal in the BMW, then the Williams of Martin Brundle. And Theo Fabi, Eddie Lawson, Michele Alboreto, and Jeff Lees. But Alain Prost still in the lead, looking very fast and backing up his qualifying time, but he is by no means running away with by 7/10 a lap. So Prost fast and quali, as we have a yellow flag in the middle of the track. And what has happened there? Moreno, I think Moreno must have had some sort of, must have been a crash, because we saw nothing coming up there. And oh, there he is. There we go. Yeah, so Moreno mistaken into the barrier, so that second Lotus car out of the race from the get-go, only 3 laps in. And Moreno being hosted over the barriers, and his race unfortunately is over. We now head back to the front of the field. Alain Prost still leading the Hungarian Grand Prix here. We're in for a real long one here. Technical track here, the Hungaroring. Lots of tights and twisty corners. It's kind of a bit like Monaco, but with the barriers a bit further away. With Prost now starting to comfortably extend his lead, and then we have a Ferrari in 2nd and 3rd. Then comes John Nielsen, then Ayrton Senna, who's under a bit of pressure from the likes of Ross Cheever and Jan Lammers, and not too far behind there is Al Unser Jr. as well, who'll be looking to capitalize if anything goes wrong in front. And then side by side there we see Al Unser Jr. with Nelson Piquet. So Nelson Piquet forcing his way through up into the points paying position. So Piquet looking fast today. And maybe didn't quite get his qualifying together, but is now showing some good pace as he's already catching up to the back of Jan Lammers, I think it is. Oh, and Jan Lammers, here he comes. And I think it's being reported that Jan Lammers has some issue with his wheels, vibration in his wheel. And he's going really slow as Nelson Piquet comes past, and then is Al Unser Jr., who's also ready to pounce. It's a bit of a train forming now behind the car, the Zach speed of Jan Lammers, and now comes to the inside. Oh, very close there is Al Unser Jr. trying to get past, but Lammers doing all he can to defend, even locking up a bit. Lammers should be heading into the pit. Yes, he does so. But he held up the fields quite a bit there. And now Al Unser Jr. is again unleashed and again inside the point. So early stop there for Jan Lammers, and he'll have to fight pretty hard here to get back up the order. As we're in lap 5, and you can see there he is now well into his pit, 5.4 seconds, and he'll come out again. So they managed to fix that issue. And the question that will now be obviously if he will run until the end, or if he will have to make another pit stop. I will go for another pit stop. I don't think there's any way he makes the tires last for another 70 laps. As abrasive as this track is, don't see it happening. Alain Prost still leading the Hungarian Grand Prix and pretty comfortable at it. Has Emerson Fittipaldi behind. 2 seconds or so between the pair. And then we have Gugelmin. And then comes John Nielsen doing a respectable job in the Zach Speed. Obviously Zach Speed being the nearest competitor to Ferrari at the moment. And then we have Ayrton Senna with Ross Cheever right behind. So Senna actually hasn't outperformed his teammate too much this season, but both have struggled with finishing that Lotus, getting it to the end of the race. And a nice split between the two drivers of Moreno and Ayrton Senna, 17 and 16 points. So definitely a well-balanced squad, and both of the drivers really contributing to the team effort. As that's Jan Lammers out, is it? Oh no, it isn't. Jan Lammers was running just running slowly, but that's Al Unser Jr. So Unser Jr. with a mistake, a bit uncharacteristic, but he's now at the back of the field, and that's unfortunate for him, as he now has Jan Lammers too far behind. But yeah, that is not great for Al Unser Jr.'s race. Let's hope his tires are still in decent condition. We have Gugelmin still in third. Definitely one of the most dangerous lineups here on the in the field, being the Ferrari one, as we've seen throughout the season. They've scored points in every race they finished, and on top of that, they've only had one race where they haven't been on the podium. Counting out the DNFs, of course, they had. It's every race they finished, they've been on the podium outside of one. So yeah, pretty notable performance there for Ferrari, and definitely have found the perfect balance in their squad this year, and coupled that with the great development that's going on at the home base in Italy. They've made a wonderful package this year, and well, we could see a turnaround here. Anna Prost looking very strong here in round 10, so maybe it's a bit late as Prost has only half the points, for instance, of Maurizio Gugelmin. But never say never, I guess. All it takes is 2 or 3 good races for Prost and a bit of misfortune for one of the Ferrari drivers, and he could be right up there again. Now, getting a bit feisty here. JJ Leto clearly holding up the pack behind him. So he has Bobby Rahal and Martin Brundle behind him, who are both, I think, keen to get past. And Leto biding his time. Quite a way behind his teammate, almost 15 seconds by now, but I must say the rookie hasn't done too bad. He's had some respectable performances so far, but unfortunately not really. Oh, and a disaster there. My goodness, what is happening here? Collision between Satoru Nakajima and Michael Andretti, which for Andretti it took his nose completely off, and seems to be driving still, but might question if he isn't hurt. Legs aren't hit there, but JJ Leto also coming in, losing his front wing, I think, from the debris flying across the track. There were some wheels going across the track. Both can make it to the pit. But a big question here is Michael Andretti. Seems like they will be able to get on a new nose cone. Yeah, it's a very curious incident there. I think it was, must have been Nakajima getting tangled up with Michael Andretti. And again, misfortune for both Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. Earl, yeah, they've been in the mix for that midfield battle and the best of the rest battle, but just, yeah, unfortunately reliability and incidents not going their way so far this season. It looks to be very much the same here at the Hungaroring. We have Gugelmin still pushing hard, not quite up the pace with his teammate today, but both of them again, both in podium positions. And next one up, John Nielsen, who has Ross Cheever not too far behind. Cheever again, definitely one of those drivers that's also getting the most out of their package, I believe. You could look at the points. Ross Cheever at the moment, 25 points, compared to his teammate Michele Alboreto, 4 points. That being said, Alboreto has only been in the car from round 7 onwards, so this being the 3rd round for Alboreto, or the 4th round, I should say. He's done much better than the predecessor, being Pierluigi Martini, of course. Martini doing those first 6 rounds and just not scoring a point in a single race, which caused team manager Martin de Knecht to take action and replace him with Alboreto. And to be fair to Alboreto, he's done decently so far. He's had an unlucky race here and there, because I think he was in the points in another race, but then reliability struck. So I think in general, the Knecht is probably happy with the transfer he made, even though Martini brought some sponsorship money. I think the added performance of Alboreto is a welcome one, even though his performance might not show it right now during this race. He's definitely been an improvement, as Jan Lammers going up the inside here. So Lammers now, after his early issues, now working his way back up the field, and well, he's making quick work of the cars in front here. And we have Jeff Lees, I think that is, in front of him, going slightly defensive. But yeah, Lammers trying his best. We'll keep following him around here because the order at the front seems pretty set for now. Ross Cheever might have something to say about that soon regarding John Nielsen. But oh, and there's another one. BMW of who was that? Teo Fabi going wide and a big smack into the barriers. And he's doing fine, as we can see there. Michael Andretti coming past now, and there might be another car here. Yeah, that is JJ Leto. So Teo Fabi also being one of those to make a mistake, and as we mentioned before, very technical track, and clearly some drivers struggling with the technicality of these tracks, sort of tracks, I should say. Meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi clearly not struggling at his ripe age, as he's putting on some good pace. He's slightly losing to Alain Prost, but nothing to worry about. Ferrari just has to carry on, bringing in the good performances, and they're doing that so far, so I think the shareholders at Ferrari must be very happy at this point in time, seeing Scuderia performing so well. And then we have John Nielsen there, you can see in the background. Ross Cheever not too far behind. In the meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi still working, and then more trouble down the field. We have Jeff Lees grinding to a halt, and well, Williams seemingly got off to a good start this season, scoring quite a good haul of points in the first half of the season, up until round 6, I believe. Or they might have scored a bit more recently. Yeah, one more point in the last round. They have been scoring points here and there, but again, it's still not quite enough for Williams. And once again, reliability playing a part here. Although I must say, over the past 3 races, they've only had 1 DNF, so really not that bad when it comes to the reliability front for Williams. But let's hope they can focus on some pure performance upgrades here in the future, so they can drag themselves up the field a little bit more. Meanwhile, we have John Nielsen still just racing his own race. He does have Ross Cheever closing up ever so slightly. Let's see if we can take a look at the last lap time. So we have John Nielsen doing a 21.227, Ross Cheever doing a 21.207, so 200ths quicker for Ross Cheever. So definitely possible here. They're matching times. But if Ross Cheever can get in the slipstream of John Nielsen, there might be a real good opportunity here for him to get inside that top 4. Nielsen still doing good. I'm just looking up and down the grid here to see fights we could possibly see. I think one going on here. We have Martin Brundle now in P12 after his teammate unfortunately dropped out of the race. He now has Jan Lammers behind him. And, well, the question for Williams now really being, is this performance package from BMW paying off for them? Because obviously they've switched now to those BMW engines, and from what we can tell, of course we don't have any rock solid numbers, but it is quite apparent that both the BMW and the Williams are down on straight line speed when push comes to shove. And you can see it again even on a short or like a twisty track like the Hungaroring. You can see that power deficit still being a thing. Of course, it's a combination of the chassis combined with the power unit. But yeah, that BMW is just not quite delivering how it should, I think. And see here, Jan Lammers now speeding past. And Zach Speed once again in that Honda. With that Honda package, they've looked strong all season. Last few rounds not really going their way too much. They have had 3 podiums in the last 3 races, but also 2 DNFs equal that out. And yeah, they've also been somewhat struggling with reliability, but not necessarily more than any other team. Oh, and now we have an issue here. We have an issue reported. Emerson Fittipaldi slowing down. Fittipaldi slowing down. He's reporting issues with his throttle. Could be a stock throttle pedal getting stuck, or not sure what's going on here, but he's going very slowly now. And here comes his teammate Gugelmin. But the question being now for Fittipaldi, can he make it back to the pits? That is the question. And let's see, can his teammate actually get through? Yes, he can. So Fittipaldi being sensible, just letting his teammate through, who's currently leading the Drivers' World Championship. And a good thing the track is not too long, so Fittipaldi has a good chance of getting into the pits here, and he does so. But now, of course, it will be a case of John Nielsen, Ross Cheever, Nelson Piquet, Senna. They will all get past him, surely. Pit lane is not that long, but we'll follow him in, as the Ferrari crew is ready and waiting. And we will do a full pit stop. He'll come out of the pits and see who does he come out behind. That will be Riccardo Patrese in the Ligier. So yeah, down to P8 for Emerson Fittipaldi after that issue, but he should obviously be flying now on that new set of tires. We'll keep an eye on him, because surely he is gonna fighting his way through, as now Nelson Piquet actually catching up to the back of Ross Cheever, and meanwhile Ross Cheever also getting closer to Tom Nielsen, so it could be a big fight for the podium here. And obviously we keep an eye now on Emerson Fittipaldi, as he will try to cut his way through the field once again. But we definitely know the Ferrari has the performance to do so. And oh, issues now at the front of the field. I'm trying to get a picture of Alain Prost, but Alain Prost also going slow. And he's only going through, what is that, turn 3, I believe that was. He's going up the hill now. into the kink, turn 4. Yeah, crucially, Prost was looking on his way to a certain victory almost. A lot of time to go, but he's going so slow now. He's losing time, even some of the back markers that he overtook. Now catching up again. See now Gugelmin making fast work, as you can see him in the background there. But it does look like Prost will make it to the pits. And comes around turn 12 now, and on the right side he'll head into the pit lane. Yeah, now Gugelmin will inherit that lead from Prost. And meanwhile, Michele Barreto also reporting issues, and he's only now going up the hill. Let's hope he can get through the lap and into the pits to fix that issue, but that most certainly means he's out of the race anyway, as he's in P16 at the moment. And Prost, not too bad, comes out in P6, that is, behind Ayrton Senna. And Prost will obviously now be on the hunt, also on a fresh set of tires, and we'll see how his lap times fare. Prost catching up quickly to the back of Ayrton Senna. Meanwhile, let's see here. Alboreto also getting into the pit, so good for Minardi there, but yeah, that will take his difference up to, well, that's gonna be probably a minute and a half behind the leader, which is very unfortunate. John Nielsen now in P2 though. Now have Alain Prost on the straight behind Ayrton Senna. Let's see, does he get the run into turn 1? No, he does not. But you can just see how much faster he is through these corners right now on those fresh tires. And ooh, a big mistake there from Senna, somewhat overcorrecting it seems. And he was trying to defend from Prost, but just, yeah, a mistake there from the Brazilian. And that makes it a lot easier for Prost as he trying to fight his way back up, and his next target will be Ross Cheever. Meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi not too far behind Prost, and he will try to get past Senna here in the coming lap. As we know that Ferrari is a bullet on the straight, so it should be a lot easier for Fittipaldi to get past on the straightaway if he gets the chance. Senna just racing his own race, trying to hold on. Let's hope he doesn't make any those silly mistakes like he did with us there behind them just a moment ago. And here comes Fittipaldi. You can just see the overspeed he's creating. And actually, Senna now getting a pit call. So does Patrese. So first pit stops do seem to be coming in. Some early stops here for Baldi, Senna, and then the second McLaren of Dalmas. Mas actually notably also in the top 10, so great job from him. Meanwhile, we have Alain Prost onto the back of Ross Cheever, and we'll go on board for this for a second. Prost here, you can see right on that gearbox of of Ross Cheever glued to it. And he's just looking for that opportunity to get past, and we'll see here if he can manage on the straightaway. And here comes Prost now with some overspeed into turn 1. Oh, and just has tons more grip for Alain Prost, who gets past Ross Cheever, and now will be hunting down the Brazilian Nelson Piquet. So Prost now still hunting down the rest of this field, and he looks very fast. You have Nelson Piquet in front of him. Emerson Fittipaldi now catching up to the back of Ross Cheever. Ross Cheever getting his pit call, so and should make it a lot easier for Fittipaldi, as he'll just move out of the way to the right here, come the pit lane, and that lets Fittipaldi through nicely, and he can now focus on hunting down Alain Prost. Prost now setting his sights on John Nielsen, who again will just go on board here for a bit, but you can see just how much speed Prost is carrying through some of these corners, and McLaren really working well here today. Now we go up the hill. Will Prost try something here around the outside? It's going to be a very hard move. No, he thinks better of it. And a lot of people now getting their pits done. Kugelman and Nielsen at the front, still yet to pit. Actually, Prost now having one extra pit stop. I do wonder if he can go until the end. The question will now be, of course, can this McLaren overtake the Zach speed on a straight? And actually, let's take a look a bit further back as Patrese again. Oh yeah, big fire there. Big fire from the engine of Patrese, and that will probably be the end of the Ligier. And now you go back to the front, and we'll keep an eye on Patrese, but he will surely be out of the race. That was a detrimental engine fire. Here comes Prost now up the inside once again, just finding more grip compared to Lammers there, or John Nielsen I should say. But meanwhile, we have the car of Patrese just being hoisted over the barrier, and that's an unfortunate end for the Ligier driver. They were looking quite solid here as well. Now it will be up to Hakkinen to bring in the points, as he will now go for his first pit stop. Now here we have John Nielsen gotten passed by Emerson Fittipaldi, or is gonna get passed by Emerson Fittipaldi, as Nielsen will pull into the pits this lap. But he's been actually doing very well, John Nielsen, going under the radar a bit, but he's been putting in the work for Zach Speed. Lammers has outscored him for quite a bit of the races, but they've been also sharing the points quite nicely. They're the only team to be somewhat close to Ferrari. Ferrari on 73 points right now, with Zach Speed on 62. So, granted that both Nielsen and Lammers can get inside a solid point position, they might actually be able to gain some points on that Ferrari team, with only well, I was gonna say with only Emerson Fittipaldi or only Mircea Gugelmin remaining, but obviously Fittipaldi has gotten out again onto the track. Both Ferraris again looking pretty strong. But this does mean now that Alain Prost, even though he's had that electrical issue, still manages to put his McLaren in the front now, and we're back to the original order with Prost and Fittipaldi in 1 and 2. Now Lummer's getting another pit call. He's coming in for another stop now. I'm not sure here, but we could see some of these cars going until the end of the race. I'm not quite sure. Obviously they're carrying enough fuel to get to the end, but question being, will the tires last long enough? And my big question as well being, do Fittipaldi and Prost still have to stop at extra time compared to the other cars? And will it even matter? Because you can see the likes of Cheever, Nielsen, Ayrton Senna all about 20 to 25 seconds behind, so might not even matter anymore for Fittipaldi and Prost. And oh, there's a disaster now again for one of the BMWs, being Bobby Rahal, who's oh, you can see that wheel is lopsided, and he pulls off on the main straight on the left side. The marshals to collect his car, but that seems like a complete suspension failure there for Bobby Rahal. He's dangerously close there to the other car, so hopefully he can get extracted from that car soon here as the field comes by. Unfortunate here from BMW, also one of those teams that has turned to F1 here, and just not being able to live up to the expectations that a big manufacturer is expected to bring. Only scored 10 points, and those have come from 3 rounds. A bit of DNFs, and managed to score 8 points in the first 2 rounds, and then have gone on a drought until round 9, the last round, where they also scored 2 points, but yeah, just under delivering a bit that BMW package, and let's hope they stick around for next year, because surely they'll bring an upgraded engine package, which is one of the things we talked about before. That seems to be their main weakness right now. And well, perhaps some of these teams can think about getting a better driver lineup at some point, as obviously you have Bobby Rahal for BMW together with Theo Fabi, who's, you know, they are good drivers, but I wouldn't say they're world beaters like Alain Prost or Emerson Fittipaldi, Maurizio Gugelmin. So yeah, similar story for Williams, to be honest. Martin Brundle still looking promising, of course, after his return to F1 after his recovery. But obviously you need to get the right tools in your hands as well to get the job done, which unfortunately with Williams hasn't been the case so far. But Dalmas now, haven't talked about him too much, but he's on his way here to potentially score some points. But we can see there the young Finn, Mika Hakkinen, is also very much in contention for those points, and he will surely try to take him off of Dalmas if he can. Meanwhile, let's take another look at the lap times. Last lap times, yes, it does seem that Alain Prost is streaking away with this, as he's in the 19s and he's outperforming Fittipaldi and Gugelmin, so he will likely just extend the gap again, as he did in the first half of the race so far. Hakkinen, let's take a look comparatively what he does with Dalmas's time. The last lap was about a 10th quicker for Hakkinen, so he has the potential, and now it was 3/10 quicker for Mika Hakkinen, so he is good on his way to take that 8th place off of Dalmas and could potentially finish inside the points here, Hakkinen. Again, would be good now his teammate is out that he picks up some of the scraps. And further front now we have John Nielsen and Ayrton Senna, who are now fighting for that sixth position. John Nielsen definitely slowly being caught up, I think, by Ayrton Senna. I'm not sure actually. Lap times, Senna with a 20.1 and Nielsen with a 21.4. So yeah, Senna seeming fairly quick, but that Honda on the straight is not to be messed with. And pit calls now again for those early stoppers with issues. So Andretti and Leto will come into the pits once again. There now is Nielsen pulling away. Does seems to be creating a little bit of distance compared to the Lotus of Senna. And well, Senna, one of those other stories, of course, young Brazilian driver, and it's very promising in the junior categories, and well, he's shown his talent time and time again, but any hinted at him possibly challenging for a championship last year and then this year with Lotus, that hasn't come to fruition quite yet for Senna. And he definitely has the potential and I think the capabilities at this point in time already. But yeah, he's just looking for that right combo, and the question of course being, will he remain in that Lotus seat for next year? Because 2 seasons where, well, should have possibly won that world championship with Lotus have well, resulted in nothing so far, and it seems with him scoring so far only about a fourth of the drivers' standings leader, being Maurizio Gugelmin, doesn't seem likely that he's in contention for the championship at this point in time. Yeah. Question is, how patient is Ayrton Senna with Lotus, and does he believe in that project though? Or does he think about moving to another team to try success? Have to see. Oh, and now issues there. Some issues for Dalmas in the McLaren as he's going slow, and that allows Mika Häkkinen to come through. But Dalmas will try to have to come into the pits, as teammate Prost is leading the race still. Dalmas going slowly. Let's follow him around, see if he can make it to the pits. And he was doing really well up until that point, and no, he's slowing to a halt, and Dalmas will pull off. So the second McLaren once again pulling off to the side of the track, and fortunately that will mean another DNF for Yannick Dalmas, who's at around a 50-50 rate right now, I believe. Actually, he's more at about a 60 to 40 rate, so finished 60% of his races so far, which is actually pretty good considering the reliability of some of these cars. Teammate Alain Prost, in the meanwhile, has finished, well, also similarly, so that McLaren very capable of finishing races this season. But yeah, so far Mika Hakkinen then inside the points, so we'll see how he fares throughout the rest of the race. And now actually, I'm not sure what's going on, but Alain Prost, so he was getting past a back marker. I believe that's why he's lost some time to Fittipaldi. Let's go on board here with Fittipaldi and see how he manages the Euro run. The Euro run of Eddie Lawson. And one of those teams, Eurobrun, doing in 9th, which is actually respectable for such a small outfit. With the pairing of Nakajima to bring in veteran and the experienced driver, and then alongside Eddie Lawson, of course, the 500cc bike champion, world champion, and he's actually been doing decent, Eddie Lawson, but yeah, didn't expect any extraordinary things from Eurobrun in terms of car performance. But they've managed to scrap for some points here and there, which does result them to be in front of BMW and Williams. Williams being an established name, and BMW obviously a big manufacturer, so I think there's some credit to give an outfit like Eurobrun in their first entry into F1. Giving them some credits, but so far Fittipaldi actually struggling to get past that Eurobrun is quite curious. As we saw him trying to overtake, but that was at a well, not ideal part of the track to do that overtake. And I'm sure he'll try again here as Fittipaldi closing up once again to the back of Eddie Lawson. We head now through the technical middle sector, and actually now Eddie Lawson making it easy for the Ferrari driver, and Fittipaldi now moving through, but he has lost quite a bit of time to Alain Prost. 5 seconds or so is the difference now, and Gugelmin actually not too far behind either, who went for the same move that Fittipaldi went for, which is also going to lose him some time now. So, yeah, what can we say about Gugelmin? Has come into this Ferrari seat after the departure of Theo Fabi, and well, he has taken that opportunity with both hands. Gugelmin leading the Drivers' Championship with Nelson Piquet not too far behind. And we can see Piquet still in 4th place, of course. Hasn't exactly been struggling, but that Benetton not quite having the same pace as the Ferrari is showing, and Gugelmin taking full advantage of the capabilities of this Ferrari, and he is just meshing beautifully with this car. You can see now he's getting closer to his teammate. Gugelmin looking to extend his Drivers' World Championship run compared to Piquet and Jan Lammers. And yeah, he's well on his way to try and become that World Drivers Champion. Obviously, as we'll head into 1990 after this season, it'll be interesting to see if Ferrari can keep this sort of dominance going, as you know, it is hard for teams to maintain similar fashion of dominance. And in the meanwhile, we've also seen reports that Emerson Fittipaldi could possibly be retiring. There was already some rumors last year about Fittipaldi possibly retiring, at least from F1. He was still, there was rumors about him going to IndyCar or some other racing series where he could possibly relax a little bit more, have a bit of a easier schedule to work with. And Fittipaldi said, no, I will return to Ferrari for 1989. But at the age he's at, you must be pondering whether he'll start anytime soon. But obviously, as you can see, his performance definitely not really an issue at the moment. You know, he's matching his teammates still. Although Gugelmin has scored overall more points, you can see Fittipaldi's still churning in lap times, and you can definitely still mix it with the best. That is for sure, as Alain Prost slowly but surely eking out that lead to now 6 or so seconds. And let's see how he is doing. Of course, Prost, Drivers' World Champion last year. And again, looks like a tall task for him this season, as he's only on 29 points compared to the 42 of Gugelmin. But we said nothing's impossible. It only takes a small run of luck on Prost's side to be right up there again. And here at the Hungaroring, it seems like McLaren could have possibly turned a little bit of a page with their car performance. And Prost running strong as he comes across the line, as we're 52 minutes and a half into this race. You have 36 laps to go. Emerson Fittipaldi now into that 6-second threshold. Meanwhile, we have Alonso Jr. actually, after his early issue there, is running in 11th now. Doing fairly well still, getting up to those positions. Hakkinen in 8th. Lammers in 9th. So Lammers now catching up to the back of Hakkinen, which will possibly demote Hakkinen out of the points, which would be unfortunate for the Finn. And meanwhile, Martin Brundle carrying the load for Williams. And again, yeah, they're just looking for some all-out performance, aren't they? Definitely been doing better this year than last year. Last year they were struggling to even keep up with the back of the field. Now they're in that mid-pack fight, but just not consistent enough in their performance to be fighting for those points reliably. And again, that BMW package not really working for them. Let's hope BMW can bring something better next year in 1990. Let's hope Williams with that can turn a page and get out of this performance rut, so to say. Meanwhile, now Googleman seems to be slowly catching up to the back of his teammates. Question being, of course, will they prioritize Googleman now since he's leading the Drivers' Championship? Will they give him the extra 2 points? Because, of course, this year we know there's also rewards for the teams when according to the positions of the drivers at the end of the year. So there's some good incentive there for some of the drivers here to swap positions possibly. And Fittipaldi now getting past. That must have been Michael Andretti in the Tyrrell. They've not had the greatest of times here today. Sure. Manager Domi isn't too happy with his team here today. Tyrrell have been doing solidly so far, beating the likes of Ligier, who are right behind them. 25 points. Tyrrell has 27. And they're also still in that fight with Minardi and Lotus. They're only 6 points ahead, Lotus, and Minardi is only 2 points ahead. Ross Cheever obviously looking to score some extra points here today for that last mentioned team. Gugelmin now coming up to the back of that Renault-powered Tyrrell. Gugelmin now on the straightaway. Let's see if the Ferrari has enough boom. Closing, but definitely not fast enough, as that Renault is definitely keeping its own. And Prost now almost 8 seconds ahead, catching up to the back of Martin Brundle. And the Frenchman has been looking solid, as Gugelmin now around the outside of Michael Andretti, which actually was made a bit harder than it needed to be, I think, but that's fine. But we see here now in that middle sector transitioning into the last sector. We have Prost getting up to the back of the Williams. You can just see the difference in performance between these two cars. Prost gets right up to the back of Brundle, and now on the straightaway will get past. And Emerson Fittipaldi still in second. You can see here Brundle giving up that position, no bother. And Gugelmin still in third. Not quite managing to get up to the back of his teammate. And as we've passed the halftime mark here of the race, I'm just gonna have a quick break because it's very hot here, 35 degrees Celsius right now. So I'm just gonna take a short break, let my throat rest a little bit. And in the meanwhile, I will... Actually, this is an interesting enough fight, so I'll keep you on board here with Michael Andretti fighting JJ Leto for a couple of laps here. And I will return quite soon here within a couple of laps. And so enjoy the onboard here with Michael Andretti. Alright, we're back. And I can see now Michael Andretti has gotten past JJ Little in the meanwhile, as Alain Prost is getting his final pit call as he goes into the pits now. Interesting will be to see, of course, if Googleman has to pit still and PK. They still have to pit, or if they will go until the end. Meanwhile, Nelson Piquet has quietly worked himself up into P3, but again, not quite sure how the pit stops are gonna work out on this one. Prost now just coming out of the pits in front of Michael Andretti. And he will now be flying on those new tires. New tires, low fuel load. Only about 26 laps of fuel in that car. And he will be lighting a fire under that McLaren, not literally, but yeah, Prost just going really well here today, has had an outstanding qualifying performance, putting him quite a ways away from the rest of the grid, and has carried that pace into the race. And well, he has had one victory before this season, but first half of the season very much a mixed bag, with that McLaren not quite being able to extract greatest of performance out of it. But Googleman now coming in as well, so yeah, I do believe we will see everyone making another pit stop. Googleman now with well, slightly slower pit stop, 6.2 seconds, and that will put him out behind his teammate and Ross Cheever. How this goes, yeah, he will be in front of Ross Cheever and well clear of him as he comes up to the back of Eddie Lawson now. But Prost still solidly in the lead with about 25 laps to go. And about 9 seconds ahead of Nelson Piquet, who's electing to stay out for now. So he still has to make another pit stop, and I assume about half of the grid still has to make that pit stop as well, as Lawson now getting passed by I think that must have been Googleman. But yeah, again, Lawson just has been doing very solid, but just not had quite the right car to compete in season, I believe, as now PK seems to be getting past. No, he's actually held on to that position. Paldi was looking to get past on the straightaway there. Nelson PK holding on for at least one more lap. Unless Fittipaldi can do something up the hill here, which I don't think he will. PK going slightly defensive into the chicane. Martin Brundle now also being passed by Googleman. Ross Cheever will be coming into the pits, and now Hakkinen has made his final pit stop as well. Here, that battle between PK and Fittipaldi still going on. I think Fittipaldi much closer this time around, so it shouldn't be as much of a problem. Down the straightaway we go. We're on board now with PK, and he doesn't go quite defensive, and here comes Fittipaldi up the inside, and that is an easy move for the Ferrari, as that Benetton's still on some old rubber and can't quite match those corner speeds the Ferrari is managing right now. Meanwhile, at the front, Prost still comfortably leading. Let's take a look at the last lap times. Oh, wow. He is Prost well clear of the opposition, almost 2 seconds now. He's really extracting a lot of pace out of that McLaren towards the end of the race here, but Fittipaldi and PK obviously being held up in the past couple laps, overtaking back markers, so we'll see some improved lap times here soon. Fittipaldi now coming up to the back of Andretti once again. And a lap time this is gonna be, as this should be unintruded. Yeah, this is quite a bit closer, not quite that close, because it's still an 8/10 difference, but the Gugelmin now only a 2/10 difference between him and Prost when you compare last lap times. Oh, and actually, what's going on here? PK with a some sort of issue with his wheel, so PK will drop out of the race. That's very unexpected, and late into this race, PK dropping out. A real shame for the Benettons, as it seems very likely now that Benetton will be overtaken by McLaren in the standings, and that will drop him down to 4th in the Constructors. Very unfortunate for PK. That only leaves one Benetton car remaining, which is JJ Leto, but he's down in 15th place.
At the end of this lap.
And so now we're back to Prost being in first, Fittipaldi second, Maurizio Gugelmin third. Then comes John Nielsen in the Zach Speed, who's been quietly going about his day. Similar scenes for Jan Lammers, I guess, who's trying to catch back up to Ayrton Senna, but it seems unlikely. With about 20 laps to go, we can compare the lap times. Last lap time 1:23. Sure if that's representative, but he is going slightly faster than Senna, but I don't think fast enough to catch up anymore. But could possibly still be points for Jan Lammers. And now John Nielsen into the pits. Comes out in 5th place, but actually in good position to get past Ross Cheever and Ayrton Senna even, because he'll be on much fresher tires. And Leto now coming into the pits. Let's stay on board with John Nielsen here for a bit, and let's take a look at what lap times he will be putting in. And oh, now Mika Hakkinen with an issue, and he pulls off to the side of the track. And that seems like a transmission failure for Hakkinen, and very unfortunate for the Ligier. That will be a double DNF for Ligier, and double DNF for them last race as well. So they've actually been picking up some good points here and there, but just reliability issues now in the last 2 races for both drivers. And that will possibly promote Martin Brundle up into the points. So Williams possibly on their way to score some points here today. Would be phenomenal for them. But yeah, in 8th place right now for Martin Brundle. Ollie and Gugelmin now 15 to 20 seconds behind Prost, as there's 20 laps to go. Prost seems to have eked out enough of a gap to be comfortable, and could take his foot off the gas a little bit if he wants to. He can just conserve the tires, conserve the engine, the brakes, everything to make sure he gets to the end of this race. But even though Prost has looked mighty and dominant here today, it does seem like Ferrari is still very much up there, and well, they've been consistently getting 1-2s. So, I shouldn't say 1-2s, but I should be saying first and second places. So, not sure if they're too worried right now, as there's another car that's stationary. Who is that? That is Michele Alboreto, so he has gone wide. I think that is turn 8, if I got that correctly. I do think it's turn 8 with the Foster sign there, but that drops Alboreto all the way to the back, and he now has Emerson Fittipaldi right behind him. He'll be looking to get through rather quickly. Here comes Fittipaldi now on the straightaway, moves to the inside. Alboreto doesn't make a big deal out of it, and well, Alboreto's race, even though I've been saying he's been doing good, it seems this race today just hasn't gone his way. All the way at the back of the field, 2 laps down now. Fortunate for him. Alboreto still doing fine, but Alain Prost at the front here, 17 seconds ahead of Fittipaldi, now in second place. And he's still storming towards this victory here at the Hungaroring, which could prove a turning point for McLaren here, as they'll be able to rack up 10 points if Alain Prost, actually 11 points, I believe. No, 10 points. But they will get some extra funds as well, coming from that pole position that Alain Prost got, which will, sure, Pedro Diaz will welcome very much. And Fittipaldi still trying to push on, but I'm not sure if... Oh, he'll be able to, but Martin Brundle now with some sort of issue. He's going slow.
Try and get back.
It's a good thing he's coming up towards the end of the lap, so he'll be able to pull into the pits, but not ideal. I do wonder where Alonso Jr. is. He's not too far behind, so it's likely that Brundle will lose this position, but he does have 16 laps to make up that position once again, which I'm sure he can do on some fresh rubber, and he does manage to get into the pits. And now his pit crew will be working fast, trying to get that issue resolved. Now comes in, let's see, actually, here is Alonso Jr. coming around the last corner, while Martin Brundle pulls into the pits. We'll get some fresh tires on, fix the issue, possible issue he was having with the throttle. And then we'll follow Brundle around for a good bit here. See how he gets on, but he should have really good pace now, really low fuel load. And he'll be hunting down Alonso Jr. now. He has, I think that's Ayrton Senna behind him, possibly another car. Yeah, that's the Eurobrun. Yeah, looking very fast now, Martin Brundle. This is not quite a qualifying environment, but he'll be close to it. Definitely hot lap mode. He won't have to watch his tires. He can just push fully, rely on the car to do the work, and we can see how he does compared to Alonso Jr., who is currently coming down the main straight again. As we can see, Martin Brundle now coming up to the last corner. And I don't think we'll be able to read it this lap. Yeah, he's just done a 135, of course, with that pit stop included, so lost about a what is it, 17 seconds or so. Brundle now pushing hardest, and he can actually, as you can see, seemingly stay ahead of Ayrton Senna. So it will be interesting to see now what his pace is compared to Alonso Jr. Hope he can still catch him. Regardless, it would obviously also be a good thing for Tyrrell to grab an extra point here. You're always welcome, of course. Now, rounding that last corner, let's see what kind of lap time he can pull out of the bag. 18.8, so actually Alonso Jr., even though Brundle is on pressure tires, Alonso Jr. is still putting up very good pace and extending the gap to Brundle. So, take it back. Williams might not be on course for points here, and it might be Tyrrell that will run away with that last point. Ross Cheever's still solidly running into P4, which I'm sure MDK will be very glad with if he ends up finishing in this position. He's cleared himself from the likes of Senna and Nielsen. Not been close to the Ferraris or the McLaren, but he's definitely separated himself, and at this rate will finish in a very solid P4. Will net Minardi an extra 5 points, which, well, would have put them past McLaren, but McLaren will pick up some good points now, possibly. But it will put them past Benetton in the meanwhile, as Benetton doesn't seem to be scoring points here today. So Minardi will move ahead by 1 point. They'll be going up to 38 points, while Benetton is still at 37. Means that actually, I was looking at the the wrong info there. Minardi is actually on 29 points. It's a bit over optimistic there. They'll actually move up into 5th, I believe, depending on how Senna does. But anyway, Minardi will move up to 34 points. And at this rate, I think Senna is going to score 4 points. That will move Lotus up into contention with Benetton and McLaren, possibly. So, yeah, we'll see. But again, if anything, it will separate Minardi a bit more from the chasing pack, which is a positive. And yeah, not to mention Alboreto just having a nightmare race it seems here today. Could have been even better for Minardi possibly. Martin Brundle now has Ayrton Senna behind him, who's looking to get past. We're about 65 laps into the race now. And Fittipaldi still pushing that Ferrari. His teammate only 5 seconds behind. Again, quite a bit of DNFs here today, but again, we still have 14 finishers, so it's not been a terrible race when it comes to reliability. So we still have 11 laps to go. And Prost still leading as we go on board with Fittipaldi. Yeah, Prost still leading here with 10 laps to go. And he's still very slowly extending the gap to the likes of Fittipaldi and Gugelmin. He is yeah, doing a great job at that. Gugelmin now coming up to the back of the BMW of Fabi. You wonder now, after round 10 here, the momentum of Ferrari is so strong with both their drivers again looking on their way to score points, and not only that, scoring a double podium once again, which would net them 8 points for the second place, 6 points for third, 14 points in total, which again extends their lead even further. And at this point of the season, 6 rounds to go. You do wonder if any of the other teams are able to tame this crazy thing that is Ferrari at this point in time. They look immensely strong and looks like they possibly could carry this momentum for the rest of the season. They've had quite a rough start when it comes to it. They had some good finishes in the first 3 rounds where they had 3 podiums and then 1 4th place, 2 DNFs, but then 3 rounds straight they had a double DNF. Round 4 to 6, Ferrari had 3 or 6 DNFs, I guess I should say, because both cars DNF. And at that point it was looking very shaky for the Scuderia, but they gathered themselves again. They've devised some strategy, came with an upgrade package, and from round 7 onwards, they've had 2 1-2 finishes. And then round 9 was also a victory for Ferrari. And now in round 10, they're again looking at a 2nd and 3rd place. So And momentum really kicking in here for Ferrari, and they are looking at a very solid season here with both of their drivers really in the contention for the Drivers' World Championship. But let's never count out the likes of Alain Prost or Nelson Piquet for that matter, even though Piquet now losing some of that ground to Gugelmin here today. Meanwhile, we have Jan Lammers and John Nielsen, who are get them into the picture here. Yes, John Nielsen in 6th place, who's coming up to the Williams, I think, and he's actually not too far behind Ayrton Senna, about 3 seconds behind. I don't think he has the pace to catch up to Senna. No, Senna's actually a little bit faster. But yeah, 6th and 7th for now for the Zach Speeds, which again, they got off to a really good start of the season. 2 wins in the first 2 rounds, and then been struggling with some DNFs as well, but solidly picking up podiums here and there. And again, they are at the moment, how many points is it? 25 or so points. Yeah, I think it's 25 points clear to Zach's. Zach Speed is 25 points clear to Benetton and McLaren. Obviously, that gap will become smaller now that McLaren will score those 10 points possibly. But you know, at this rate, they will be adding on 3 more points to put them to 65. Meanwhile, Ferrari looking very solid and looking at increasing their lead and putting their total points tally up to what would be 87 points, I believe. So, again, looking very strong here today, Ferrari. And then Lotus picking up some good points with Senna possibly. And then, well, again, just quietly gone under the radar. Ross Cheever on his way to pick up a good 5 points here for Minardi, which a very welcome sight for them, as they've just been solidly performing. They haven't had an incredible engine like they did last season around that really came in, gave them some good performances, even though reliability was a massive issue for the Minardi. They did manage to get that car until the end a couple of times, and when they did, man, what a sight to behold when that car was working and worked until the end of the race. Meanwhile, now Ross Cheever is still pulling his weight for the team, and the young American has impressed, to say the least. And the question will be, of course, if Minardi again will be able to retain him, as does seem he has some championship potential. It will be interesting to see if none of the other teams are interested. And oh, now we have the second Benetton firstly pulling out of this race. JJ Leto once again not making it till the end of the race. That'll be his 5th DNF for the season. He's gotten 6 finishes and 5 DNFs now, so definitely not a horrible rate of not finishing, but unfortunate to say the least. Al Unser Jr. still running solidly in the points here. Doesn't seem like Brundle has an answer right now. As we take a look at the last lap times, he was about 3/10 or so quicker, but nothing that would warrant Unser Jr. to be worried. So very much are looking at our finishing order here, I believe, unless something dramatic happens in these last couple of laps. Meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi still calmly making his way around the track in that second place, and is close to Michael Andretti here. Oh, what's happening here? A pit call for Maurizio Gugelmin. And that's interesting to see now, because was Gugelmin the one that had that early pit stop? So I'm interested to see why he is coming into the pits here. Possibly because he thinks he can't make it. I think it could be a case of we again have some issues with the fuel. I didn't, since it's been such a long time, I didn't think about checking the fuel rate for this race. So yes, it does seem like we will have to call this race somewhat early, because all the drivers will try to come in and pit for extra fuel, which they can't do. So I'm pretty sure they will just run out of fuel. So that being said, I assume we will call the race from lap 73, as yes, now we have Gugelmin going in. So we will call the race on lap 3, which means, or 73, which means Alain Prost will come across the line victorious, and we'll just give him the victory lap here, I guess. So a bit of an anticlimactic end, but this shouldn't change the results anywho. So yeah, again, this is one of those races where I think I should have put the fuel rate down a little bit, because some of these tracks seem to be configured just straight up wrong a bit, where the AI just uses a little bit too much fuel, and that means they try to come in for fuel at the end of the race, but obviously there's no refueling with this mod to cause these kind of issues. So will mean that Fittipaldi is second, Gugelmin third, Cheever fourth, fifth will be Senna, John Nielsen, then Jan Lammers, Alan Sir Jr., Martin Brundle, Eddie Lawson, and so forth and so on. But that means I get to call the race early on lap 73, and the following screen will then result in the final standings. And yeah, it was a very interesting race, a lot of DNFs there, and some good points here for Tyrrell. Saxby still holding up, Lotus scoring some points with Ayrton Senna. But yeah, it's been a good race, good to be back for round 10 here, and I hope I get enough time to continue with the series a bit more regularly. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next one, and you will see the victory screen here in a moment with the standings and the timings. Then again, the race ending on lap 73 here today. So you guys have a good one, and see you next time.